Away they go. Brett Cheatham from the United States leads the charge into turn 1 in the Tetchin Engineering Super Sedan International. Darryl Farrelly getting out of the pack very quickly. Michael Hickey going up with them as well. Down main straightaway, the American Brett Cheatham is out in front. Michael Hickey second. Stu Robertson up high on the track. He's looking for a spot round the outside of Darryl Farrelly. And Robertson goes up into third place around the outside of Farrelly, who's back to fourth. Now the top 4 cars starting to move away pretty quickly. Brett Cheatham, Michael Hickey, Stu Robertson and Darryl Farrelly. Those top 4 cars battling it out as Robertson slowly but surely making his way through the traffic and doing it well. Hickey goes up very high on the fence. Robertson goes into second. Farrelly goes into third. Hickey drops back to fourth place with that steering problem that he's having. Let's take a look back in the field. John Leslight, as we pointed out, gradually making his way through the traffic, although Ron Pine comes up on the inside of him. Back in about 10th place at the moment, John Leslight, but very high on the track with Ron Pine and Alan Baker both getting by him. Very tightly bunched back in about positions 8 through to 12 with John Pearson, Graham Lilford, Ron Pine, Alan Baker, John Leslight and Grenville Anderson. A half a dozen cars and only half a dozen lengths between the 6 of them.
Bert Cheatham still taking up the running, but Stu Robinson's got him, and we've got a new leader after 24 and a half laps. Stu Robertson hits the lead from Bert Cheatham. Darryl Farrelly still hanging on to third. Then Michael Hickey a little bit further back to the number 36 car there. Paul Cannon, Robert Burke and Pedro Smith is holding everyone up. Pearson's had 3 or 4 cracks to try and get around him, and he can't get around him. This time, gives Pedro Smith a big bump in the driver's door. Can Pearson go on with it and open up the gate to the gaggle of drivers behind him? Pearson's finally through. Pedro Smith, Lilford. Then it's back to Pine, who was also making it very tough for people like Leslight and Anderson, but there's plenty of this race to go. And Michael Hickey has come adrift and heads to the infield, regains control. But Stu Robertson, 21 laps to go, leads from Bert Cheatham and Darryl Farrelly. Then Paul Cannon. Then it's Robert Burke from the ACT, Michael Hickey and Johnny Pearson. Well, have a look at this go back here. What a great race. Ronnie Pine's got handling problems. He pulls to the infield. Pedro Smith. Now here comes Anderson. Anderson gobbles up 2 very quickly. Going with him is Leslight. Anderson's got some space, and by gee, he's going to make it interesting. But he's 3/4 of a lap down, Ross.
Right, 3/4 of a lap down, yes, on our leader, Stu Robertson. Second place, Brett Cheatham, and he's still doing pretty well too. He's well clear of Paul Cannon, who's third. Robert Burke moves up to fourth. Michael Hickey still boxing on in 5th place. John Pearson, the other American, in 6th place. And now Grenville Anderson is up to 7th. Pedro Smith, 8th. John Leslight, 9th. And Barry Lee is 10th. Stu Robertson has picked them up, and we've got trouble. Barry Lee Robertson, the race leader, has crashed into Bajent, got round the outside safely, and Barry Lee was the one who brought them all undone in the approach to main straightaway. And won't Grenville Anderson be loving that? Because that'll bring the tearaway Stu Robertson back to the pack. So Anderson now will at least be within firing distance of the tearaway leader Stu Robertson. Remember, at one stage there he was about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of a lap in front. Now he's only going to be about 50 metres in front of Anderson. Set for the restart. There's 18 laps scheduled to go. And on the outside, Robertson goes to the lead. Cheatham down on the low line is holding on to second spot. The Canberra driver, Robert Burke, is third. Then comes Paul Cannon. Michael Hickey is still fighting it out with them up front. And moving up on the outside, oh, there's a spin, Leslight. Leslight has gone around on his own, I'd say. However, Curran, the Canberra driver, has just totaled the front end of the American car. Now, who is that? Is that the number 4 car of Steve Hendren? Sorry, Terry Thedford is the car that's just been totaled. The front end of it was just munched when Curran had nowhere to go. Leslight was the spinner, and he's going to go ROF. No, he said, I got pushed.
And Bernie Whalen won't take any further part in the race either. His front end is just totaled.
So Bernie Whalen, no, he's decided, no, well, what the hell, I'll go on with it. And Cheatham got away well on the inside. I think he'll get the lead away from Robertson here. No, Robertson came back at him on the outside when Cheatham, I don't know, might have missed the change or something going into there. So Robertson is the leader. Cheatham in second place, and he might be hard to get past too because he doesn't know the Motordrome well, and the other drivers will probably find it hard to get by him, although he's drifted up very high there, and Cannon trying to come through on the inside. Now we've got Pedro Smith stuck on the concrete wall in the middle of turn 1-2, and we'll have another stoppage. And as I said, the pressure's going to come on, Stu Robertson. Sometimes you tend to see this happening in mid-race. You see 2 or 3 stoppages, and it does affect some drivers. It upsets their concentration, and they've got to get back in the groove again. Michael Hickey has been cautioned in the 55 car.
Now, Alan Baker has lost a fair bit of his rear. That's the car.
Pardon me?
The car.
Oh, sorry, right.
Some tearaway pieces of the fiberglass. He's hanging in the infield.
Right.
Pedro's hanging on the fence. Now, kids, please, all the children, will you hop back behind the fence, please? Thank you very much. We do appreciate that. 17 laps to go, Roscoe.
Yes, 17 to go. And the Americans have at long last got something to wave their flags about too, because John Pearson and Brett Cheatham are right in there with them. Good start. Cheatham, oh, Robertson's gone. Robertson's gone. Something's gone. It just absolutely fell apart when he came down Main Straight. The American flags are flying high. The Stars and Stripes are in the lead. Brett Cheatham comes down with 16 laps to go. Can an American pull out a victory? Oh, he's up very high on the track. Cannon coming up on the inside of him. And there's another American up in there. John Pearson. The American flag is really flying here. They're running first and third at the moment with half the race gone.
Cheatham leads from Cannon and Pearson. Robert Burke from the ACT, and looming with 15 is Grenville Anderson. Just behind him, Alan Baker. Then Michael Hickey, John Leslight. Back to Maxie Bajan, and bringing up the rear, Bernie Whaling, who's waving at the crowd from the front bonnet. He'll surely have to pull to the infield, Bernie Whalen. That could be pretty dangerous. And Michael Hickey's running right along the wall. He's had steering problems all night. But coming down now to complete yet another lap. Cheatham still leads from Cannon, Pearson. Anderson looking for a way through. Plenty of laps left for him. He's about to gobble up a couple of places as Cannon pulls to the infield. The Ford's busted. The Americans have got the Quinella at the moment. Ross Allen throws his hands in the air as the Ford boys bite the dust again. Anderson now slipping up on the inside. Can't get past Pearson on this occasion. Changes tack, goes high. Gives Pearson a little nudge in the boot and says, I'm here, boys. Maybe the Americans are racing and match play at the moment. Cheatham leads. Now Alan Baker's trying to get up on the inside of Anderson. Can't do it on that occasion. 10.5 to go. Cheatham, big bang, coming out of turn 2. Bajan, Hickey, Burke and Whalen all involved. So we're going to have to do it all again and have a guess who is on the second row of the grid.
Yeah, Grenville Anderson might be there, but I tell you what, Mike, I got a feeling John Pearson's got the experience to ride shotgun for Brett Cheatham here. I reckon Pearson would be happy to make it a 1-2 for the Americans, even if he did finish second. and he's got enough experience at the Motordrome to be able to do a bit of shotgun riding. Imagine, try and drive about mid-track. Oh, no, he's made an error. He'll allow Anderson to come up on the inside of him. He's made a boo-boo, Pearson. I don't think he can tuck down in front of Anderson now. I think Anderson's got him covered. Pearson's driving on with it, but Anderson's got him. He got a little too high on the track. He's trying to come back at him, but he can't do it. Now, can the American, the inexperienced Brett Cheatham, hold off Anderson, who's tucking it down tight and low? Oh, boy. I think it's just about gone. Anderson's about to grab the lead. Cheatham's gone. Look at Pearson. He's still boxing on with Baker. We've got a terrific race, and there's only 8 laps left to go. Baker getting up on the inside of the Americans. Pearson and Baker. Oh, Pearson's hit the wall. Cheatham has spun out. And we've got... And Pearson really slammed into the concrete wall, and he's going to go onto the infield. And USA 2, Brett Cheatham, has been sent to the rear of the field. And now, look who's up front. Grenville Anderson, Alan Baker, and Mr. Perpetual Motion, John Leslie.
Now, I thought Cheatham was a bit stiff there, because Johnny Pearson was trying to force through. He knew that Cheatham didn't have the power to go on with it with Anderson downstairs. He's tried to force his way through the middle. There was no gap for 3 right across the middle of the track, and Cheatham had to try to make his line for the corner, and he's been sent to the rear of the field.
Well,
my opinion and my opinion only.
Your opinion only. You said earlier on that the Chief Steward was listening to no one.
He certainly won't listen to me.
Thanks for your opinion. We've got Les Light.
I'd give it anyway.
Les Light in 3rd spot. He's the danger. Green flag. 8 laps of the Motordrome to go in the Tetron Engineering Super Sedan International, and Anderson leads from Baker. But if Anderson has that steering problem and gets up high on the track, Baker's car is handling better, mainly because it's a Falcon, but it's handling beautifully, and he is the man who could probably get up underneath Grenville Anderson. He's the only chance to do it. Les Light has been right up there with him, and these 2 guys, we saw them in the Coca-Cola Classic. Here they are back again, another big 30-lapper, and they're up there in the top placings once again. Grenville Anderson, Lismore, Alan Baker, Gunnedah, and John Leslight, Lismore, with 5 more laps of the Motordrome to go.
And it looks as though it's all over, bar the shouting. Grenville Anderson streaking away from this field now. Alan Baker not able to tack onto his tail. Johnny Leslight trying to get up to give it a Lismore Quinella. A little bit further back to Michael Hickey, Robert Burke, Maxie Bajan soldiering on, as is Bernie Whalen. His bonnet's been flapping for most part of this race, and Bert Cheatham brings up the rear, just circulating for the sake of circulating. Down the back they go with 3.5. Anderson doing it comfortably now. Baker in 2nd. Leslight will have to make his charge here to get up into 2nd position, and he starts to move up on Alan Baker. The track really drying out now. Anderson guns it down the back, 2.5 to go. Baker under enormous threat from Johnny Leslight. Then Hickey, Bajan, Burke, and Bernie Whalen. The interest is in the battle for 2nd. Johnny Leslight trying to tack onto Alan Baker from Gunnedah. Can't do it at the moment. There's still time for Johnny Leslight to get into 2nd spot. Anderson will be the clear-cut winner of the Tetron Engineering Super Sedan International as he gets the white flag. Can Alan Baker hang on for 2nd? Baker, Leslight, they throw everything at the penultimate corners. Baker hangs on. Anderson will be our winner. Leslight has one more dip at Baker. Anderson goes across the line. Baker hangs on from Leslight. A great finish there by Alan Baker. In 4th place will be Michael Hickey, followed by Max Bajan, then Robert Burke from the ACT, and Bernie Whalen, well, most of Bernie Whalen's car, comes across the line in 7th position. Well, we certainly have had an incident-packed race once again for our Super Sedan International, but the star of the night, without a shadow of a doubt, has been the man from Lismore, Grenville Anderson, in the number 10. Took his time to work his way through the field, of course. Situations played into his hands. Alan Baker is in second, and Alan will probably be pretty pleased with that after the proceedings of tonight. And in third place, the other man from Lismore, Johnny Leslight. A great race, the Super Sedans. And the drivers now just unbuckling themselves, and they'll be hopping out for the presentation. And Grenville Anderson looks a little bit worn out. Of course, we don't really realise the amount of stuff it takes out of you, a 30 lapper. But give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Grenville Anderson, who is now down there with Ross Allen.
Straight into the winner's circle. The congratulations, kiss and hug, and congratulations from me on behalf of Tetron Engineering. We're really proud that you could get down here tonight. We know that sometimes rescheduled meetings make it very hard for visiting drivers to get here. But it's been a great night for both of you. You've now capped it off. You've won the pairs, and now you've come home first place in the Super Sedan 30 lapper. Congratulations, Grenville.
Thank you very, very much. I'd just like to thank Murray Gegg for letting me drive such a beautiful race car. And a really special thank you to Billy Mann, who builds the engines, the best engines I believe in Australia, and he just gets them there at the finish line without any problem at all. It's still running beautiful. I congratulate Johnny and Alan. Good drive. And all I can say is thanks for the fans that are coming. We're pleased to come down here and put on a show for you. We're not just race car drivers, we're entertainers, and we hope we entertain you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, first place to Grenville Anderson. Second place tonight, and the trophy and the congratulations from Tetron Engineering goes to Alan Baker. Alan, congratulations on second spot. That was a race that the fans have thoroughly enjoyed. Fantastic Super Sedan racing. Congratulations on second spot.
Thank you very much. It was like that all the time. You'd have that many bums on the hill, you wouldn't get in the place.
Why, gee, Johnny Leslight just started making you work very hard. I thought that maybe with Grenville Anderson pushing a bit high that you might have been able to get up underneath him, because that car of yours was handling superbly.
If you have a look at the rev counter, it kept saying, "Get off it, get off it." Buzzed the right rear tyre early, trying to get under everybody, and the old motor, she's done about 1,500 laps of Wayne John Brown's in New Zealand, their engine builder, and if you don't hurry back soon, we're going to be running around like Flintstones. But for our rev counter, we generally turn at about 7,400, and she's on 83, and don't you tell anybody, especially my boss.
Congratulations on second spot, Alan. A terrific race.
I'd like to thank Tetron Engineering very much for putting the race on, and the Motor Promotion. My sponsors, owners of the car, Robert and Ruth Steen of Moree, and my lovely wife and daughter up there, Ross, Kim, Greg, Monica, Scott, all the guys that give me a hand. Thanks very much.
Second place has gone to Alan Baker. Third place tonight goes to another of the Lismore drivers receiving the trophy and the congratulations. On behalf of Tetron Engineering, please add that trophy to your crowded trophy shelf. By gee, you've got a heck of a good record here at the Motordrome, John Leslight.
Yes, and the Motordrome has got the best record with me. They've got the best trophies in Australia, and every time you go home from Newcastle, you take a beautiful trophy, and I very much appreciate that.
John, you almost got hold of Alan Baker there in the last couple of laps, and I would have thought that maybe even a few more laps under your belt, you might have even given that...
Stands all their life, a